News, views, voices of the global Indian community. India abroad.
The NSF is the agency, the independent agency that essentially fosters, promotes, and advances all areas of science, engineering, and technology and innovation all across our nation. It is a $9 billion agency and invests in all research as well as STEM talent development, as well as in small companies to partnering with large industries and so on. I'll just give you a few thumbnails of NSF, and I call it the DNA of NSF. That's a way of describing NSF probably more succinctly. The one strand of the DNA of NSF is what I call curiosity-driven, discovery-based explorations. So if you look at any discovery that happens, whether it's a black hole or whether it is whatever that is the fundamental advancements in quantum or AI or whatever that might be, you will always find tire tracks back to NSF investments. The best way of exemplifying NSF's investments is we have invested in 262 Nobel laureates so far, early in their career. No other agency on planet Earth, whether it is in the US or anywhere in the world, has anywhere close to this kind of an outcome that NSF has made possible and continues to make possible. And every year when the Nobel Prizes are announced, you will find that all the Nobel laureates, whether it's economics, physics, chemistry, biology, are all invested in by NSF early in their careers and sustained through their careers. So that's the first strand of what I would say NSF does very, very well. The other strand of NSF that interweaves the first strand is what I call use-inspired, solutions-focused innovations or translations. Now, if you take, for example, any company, let's pick Google, for example. The two founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, were actually NSF graduate research fellows, invested in by NSF. They came to NSF in 1994 with a proposal for a digital libraries project. We invested in that. 5 years later, in 1999, they wrote the final report, and they said we founded a company called Google a year earlier in 98. And the rest is $1 trillion history. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of such companies that have what I call tire tracks back to early investments in NSF. So not only in terms of fundamental research discoveries and innovations that makes this organization really phenomenal in terms of impact, but it is also on the translational side in terms of birthing companies, entrepreneurs, and so on. If you talk to any leader in the science, technology, innovation industry, you will find that they will always tell you, I was a research assistant in an NSF project, or I was a graduate research fellow of NSF. You will always find these tire tracks, or I call them the DNA of NSF, is embedded in all these leaders all across the nation. And that's why this is the pride of the nation in terms of how people view this agency as making possible amazing things. Now I want to therefore move into the partnership with India as it relates to what NSF does. So when President Modi came for the state visit last year, his first stop was NSF. He came to NSF, I hosted a small panel with the First Lady and the Prime Minister, and it was a very interesting discussion that we had on the workforce for the industries of the future. Right? And now, with NSF partnering with Indian science and technology platforms, like the Department of Science and Technology, NSF and DST, as it is called, has developed a strong partnership over many years, but specifically in the last couple of years, we have a number of joint projects funded by NSF and DST, where NSF invests in the US researchers, DST invests in the researchers from India. We have a strategic partnership which now has resulted in 2 rounds of projects and proposals that have been funded that brings researchers and students and postdocs and others working together, and yes, in partnership with industry too. The other major organization in India which promotes science, technology, and innovation activities is called the Ministry of Information Technology, called MeitY. So NSF and MeitY have a strong partnership again, and we have released a number of joint projects again with MeitY recently. And with METI, it is not only the researchers from IITs or other institutions in India working with counterpart institutions like Stanford or Harvard or MIT or ASU or Purdue or whatever the institution might be. We have a number of joint projects through METI, but also with partnership with industry on both sides participating in some of these projects. So, if you look at the strands of partnership, NSF DST, NSF METI, the other strand of partnership is with the Department of Biotechnology, or DBT. We work on a lot of areas related to biotechnology, bioeconomy, biomanufacturing, fundamental work in terms of genomic sciences, all the way to ecology and translational work in bioengineering and rehabilitation devices, you name it. All of that is co-invested between US NSF and the Department of Biotechnology. So that's a third strand of partnership between US and India. Again, a lot of opportunities for startups and industry partnerships in these. The fourth strand of partnership between US and India is through the Ministry of Earth Sciences. President Khan talked about the critical minerals area. Critical minerals area is obviously becoming very important, clearly for both nations. And I look at the US-India partnership as two partners, yes, large democracies, the oldest as well as the largest, whichever way you want to look at it, okay? But more importantly, we are two nations that are founded in values that binds us together. We have shared values, shared aspirations that brings us together. And therefore there is a natural inclination because of shared values and shared aspirations that we want to work together. And therefore with DST partnership, METI partnership and DBT partnership and the fourth strand, Ministry of Earth Sciences, we are working on a number of, contemplating on working on a number of projects that brings us together in terms of the geoscience partnership. I do not know whether you know, NSF manages the US Antarctic program for the United States. Okay? And of course we work with DOD and other partners and the Arctic program and all of the ocean exploration. All of these are joint projects between US and India, between Ministry of Earth Sciences, NOAA here, National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, and NSF. So that's an area that we're increasingly starting to work on. But I'm just going to be with the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, in 2 days in India for the next ISET dialogue. That we're going to be with the National Security Advisors and a few of us going to see how we can take stock of where we are in terms of building this partnership and stock taking in terms of report cards of progress. The next strand is the Ministry of Mines, again in the critical minerals area, but there is a lot of partnership possibilities in the Ministry of Mines. So as you can see, DST, you have a quiz at the end, DST, METI, DBT, Earth Sciences, and Ministry of Mines. All these 5 threads of partnerships are thriving and progressing very well. And there is an underlying partnership that we have that binds all of this is the Department of Higher Education, or the Ministry of Higher Education. So it is wonderful to be able to advance on all of these fronts. And last but not the least, we are working on a quad partnership with Japan, Australia, India, and the United States, not only on the defense and national security objective, but also in terms of how can we advance on societally meaningful and social good kind of projects like AI for agriculture. So we are advancing, as you can see, on multiple threads of the partnership between US and India so that we can actually have two like-minded partners making possible. For me personally, NSF increasingly has to be about opportunities everywhere for everyone in our country. Whether it is from a rural area or an urban area, rural Kansas or rural Wyoming, or from urban areas, that opportunities and talent and ideas are democratized. We want to make sure that all domestic talent in the United States is unleashed at full force and full scale. Likewise, the second objective is to make sure that innovation can be anywhere in our nation. Again, in any of the states of the nation, not limited as important as it is to California or Texas or Massachusetts and so on, but it can be anywhere across our nation. So at NSF, we have increasingly started to invest. Hi, Priya. I'm just touting the relationship. Ambassador Ranganathan is here, so. So this is something that is of utmost priority, is how can we ensure that every talent in the United States everywhere and every innovative potential everywhere is unleashed at full force and full scale. And that's no different, that you can attest to, than in India. We want every state in India, rural, urban, everywhere across, being successful, and that innovation can therefore permeate in all parts of India. So we have a collective interest, as I said, shared aspirations. Because of shared values, we can advance on these shared aspirations, and therefore through the partnership with the threads of DST, METI, DBT, Earth Sciences, Mines, Quad, and a whole lot more, and higher education, Ministry of Higher Education, we are trying to accelerate progress. I call it strengthening at speed and scale, the partnership between India and the United States. And I'm very pleased to report that in the last few years, we have made significant progress leaping forward. And I think there's a lot more work to be done. And the next week's meeting is going to memorialize even more of that and moving forward. And thanks to Ambassador Raghunathan and the ambassador who also was here before Ambassador Raghunathan, Ambassador Sandhu. It's an amazing leadership team of the Indian Embassy here, which makes it all easy because they make it so easy to work with our Indian counterparts. I'm so thrilled to have hosted Minister Jaishankar, Minister Sitharaman, and all of them, all of the secretaries at NSF, because there is this inherent desire to want to build this strength of this partnership and exemplify it in terms of unbelievable innovation and opportunities for all of us in both nations. So I'll stop here. I'm a professor, I can speak for 50 minutes, but apparently I'm supposed to go to another event and speak similar things, so I'm just going to excuse myself and run outside. But thank you all for giving me the opportunity, and look forward to partnering with all of you, because this success of this partnership is hugely reliant on not only what the academic sector does, but what is done by industry, by entrepreneurs, by philanthropy, and every one of you and every one of us is what is going to make this partnership thrive, prosper, scale, and do amazing things. So I welcome you to partner with NSF and with all of us so that we can build an amazing future of this joint partnership. So thank you all.